Hello and welcome to episode number 4 of the Quantum Creating podcast, bringing the world of the formless into form and other true stories. And can you believe it's been 1 month already? Oh my God, that's just flown by. And I'm thrilled to have got 4 in the bag. And I'm also thrilled that so many of you have taken the time to listen and send me feedback and download this podcast. I am humbled that you take time out of your lives to listen to me and my ramblings and stories. And today we've got a very special one because we're going to talk a little bit quantum physics today, and we're not going to go too deep, don't worry, we'll try and keep it at a really light level. And today's subject, if you like, is stop looking outside. We as human beings have this annoying habit, if you like, of looking for solutions to our concerns outside of ourselves. And you know, it doesn't exist out there because the quantum model of reality shows us that what we see isn't really what's going on. So the last place you want to look really is outside of yourself. I once heard a quantum physicist say that if he were God and wanted to hide himself, he'd hide himself inside the human being because it would be the last place we would look. And that just about sums it up. And you know, those of you who have followed me for any particular amount of time and those of you who are listening to this podcast probably understand my passion for quantum physics. And I'm not going to sit here and say to you, I know everything about it. In fact, I know very, very little. In fact, I don't think anyone really knows too much about it, because you see, quantum physics is outside of normal sense. It's outside of our sensory faculties. In many ways, it makes no sense. Nonsense, you see. So there are certain things about it we can experiment on, but the experiments we do, the results we get are observer derived, which makes it quite difficult to get actual results. So there's all sorts of things that make understanding quantum physics one of the hardest things that you can possibly do. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't stop exploring. You know, I've never taken anything at face value. You only have to ask my parents. As a kid, I was so inquisitive. I used to ask why, all the time. And that's a habit that I've still got now, almost 50 years of age. That inquisitive drives me to understand things, drives me to continue my search, drives me to give information when I get it to you wonderful people, drives me to help as many people as I can, clients and non-clients alike, and will continue to drive me for the rest of my life. And I hope that you in your way have that level of drive and motivation and passion. And if not, just get in touch and I'll help you with that. But let's move on. You know, what interests me about quantum physicists is that they will accept that an observer will have an effect on an event, let's call it collapsing the wave function, to give it its correct name, and cause a reality. But only, and here's where the rub comes in, according to the quantum physicists, only at the microscopic level. Now, me being inquisitive Joe will then turn around and say, well, hold on a minute. That may be true for the majority of people, but could it be that we're not good enough observers yet? And that those people that have been able to create real magic, create miracles, have things show up in their lives that to the ordinary person looks incredible to behold. Someone like a Buddha, someone like a Lao Tzu, someone like a Jesus Christ. Could they just be better observers? That's the question I think we need to ask. So it's quite possible that with a correct level of observation, that which we know happens at the microscopic level happens at the macroscopic level. You see, this has been puzzling scientists for a long time, probably since the days of Descartes, who was a 17th century, I think, physicist before Isaac Newton. Descartes was a philosopher as well as a physicist, and he wanted to understand the nature of reality, but he was kind of hamstrung by the church at the time because the church didn't want the body-mind connection to be theorized and explained and expunged upon, if you like. They wanted to keep it separate. They were happy for Descartes to look at the body, matter, but they wanted the mind, energy, to themselves. So you had this split between science and church. The physicists, you can deal with matter, we'll deal with thought or energy. That's the realm of God. And this carried on for some time. Newton came along a good few years later, and Newton increased our understanding of the universe and how it works, but on a very macroscopic, big level. He even invented calculus to help him formulate the movements of the stars and the planets, and we use that today to help us put landers on comets and orbiters in orbit around distant planets. But Descartes knew, I'm sure, that mind and body were interlocked, but couldn't quite work out how, and obviously had to leave it to one side. Newton knew he was on the brink of something bigger, but didn't have the wherewithal, the mathematics or the evidence to back it up. And it took another almost 200 years, was it 200 years, 150 years, for Einstein to come along. And Einstein was a radical, renegade free thinker. At the age of 12, he would be thinking things along the lines of riding his bicycle at the speed of light and flipping on his headlamp, and would it go on? That's the kind of thinking you want to have at 12. My son Lucas, who is 12, actually thinks something like that, but he's currently interested in dark energy, but that's a whole nother thing. So Einstein had this abstract thinking about things, which led him to his theories of relativity and to that most famous of equations, E equals mc squared, which basically shows that energy and matter are interchangeable. And as I once heard, I think Joe Dispenza say, the currency exchanger is the speed of light. But where Einstein fell down was that he and everyone else at the time understood that the speed of light was a constant. Nothing could go faster. 186,000 miles per second. That was the speed limit of the universe. But if you paired two photons and sent them to opposite ends of the universe and changed one of them in some way, the second one, the twin, would be affected at exactly the same time. There was no gap which you would need to for the speed of light to catch up. So it was happening instantaneously. This is called quantum entanglement, and this Einstein didn't like at all. In fact, he described it famously as spooky action at a distance. So we know that in this wonderful quantum soup, if you like, things aren't as they seem in real life, inverted commas. This quantum field it pervades all space and time, and outside of space and time, if you like, for a better description, is a field of energy, a field of information, and we are part of it and subject to it, and we have access to it as well. We dip in and out of it 7.8 times a second. But here's the thing, when we look for things outside of ourselves, we have our information coming through our senses. This usually is the same experiences because we have the same emotions, the same feelings, which drive the same thoughts, the same language, the same behaviours. We go into this amazing field of information in which anything is possible. It's a quantum field of possibility. All possible eventualities, futures, whatever you want, experiences exist at the same time. We go into it with the same thoughts, the same feelings, the same emotions, the same language, the same behaviours. We come out of it with the same information, and we get, you guessed it, the same. We need to stop looking outside of ourselves and look internally. If you start asking yourself some questions, different types of questions, have different types of experiences, decide exactly what it is you want in your life, and hold that as your default mental picture and images in your mind. You will then go into this quantum field of information with a new mindset, new language, new feelings, new emotions, new behaviours, and you'll get new results if you do it often enough, because there's a time lag for us. We're not good enough observers, remember, to do it instantly like a Jesus or a Buddha or a Lao Tzu or a Muhammad. We could go on and on and on. So stop looking outside. Look inward. The thing you must understand, and if you take one thing from today's episode, one thing, let it be this. That thing you want exists, and you have to be it first to bring it out of that field of information, that energy quantum field of possibilities. So if you want to be more abundant, have more wealth, you have to be abundant first. If you want to be healthier, have a better physique, have better health than you have currently, you have to be that health now. If you want that relationship, you have to be that relationship. If you want that better job, that bigger business, you need to be it now, because you take that information with you into that quantum field of information. You bring back, magnetize, attract, whatever you want to call it, you bring it back with you. So you have to be it every minute of every day. And you have to banish those thoughts of doubt, banish those old programs, banish those old speech patterns, that language you used to use. You have to banish those behaviors. They're all artifacts of past thinking. Change now and get the result you want. Now, next time, I'm bringing my first guest on. I'm super, super excited about that, because we're going to go deep into all things energy. I'm not going to say any more, but I will tell you do not want to miss it. And I thank you so very much for joining me for this first month. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I hope you have too. Remember, keep sharing, keep leaving reviews. They help me so very, very much, and will help us get more eyes on this podcast, so we can spread the word and have everyone creating real magic. And can you imagine what wonderful planet would be on then if everyone was pushing the same